Hi everyone, this is Mary Schaefer with my capstone activity Afterimage. So this activity was the study of light. Students were to look at something bright with a flashlight through a shape that they cut out of a piece of cardboard. So very easy activity. You need cardboard, some tape, a flashlight, scissors, and an X-Acto knife. I modified this also, which I'll talk about later, as a color study, so you'd also need Sharpies or colored cellophane. The STEM practices and inquiry. The activity that it starts out with following the actual site was a level of 0 in the inquiry level, but once I modified it, it actually went up a little bit more because it left more of a color study for the students to investigate on their own. As it says, it's planning out and carrying out investigations, and then they're analyzing and interpret data that they find from the Afterimage activity. The reason why I chose this is because when we were doing our portfolio curriculum, I was going off of light into the solar system. So this was an opener, a starter of what light does and how that eventually transform into our study of the solar system. However, as I said, I changed this slightly to use now, which was more of a color study. So this increased the inquiry level and directly tied to the art room today. How does this support science in the Bybee reading? I really was interested in his format of the 5E instructional model, and this supports science by using an engaging activity. They're exploring new things. They are expected to explain what they found, elaborate upon it, and then evaluate whether that was something that was fundamental to their learning. And then later on, as I said, if it was used in a science curriculum, how that tied to outer space. So how did the whole thing go? Well, I started off here with my flashlight, my X-Acto blade. As I said, because I tied this into color, I have one plain one and then also a green and a red. This was the images of what you saw when you were looking at the light. Here's what it would be when you were staring at it, and the after images that I saw for each color. So the white, just the plain tape, actually gave a very bright blue. And I apologize, they didn't have a pentagon for when I put this together. The red showed like a very bright reddish pink, and the green a very bright neon green. As far as the inquiry level that came in when I have students do it themselves, one of the questions I would ask is, can you change the color, or does the color alter? So I actually overlapped staring at each different color, and it kind of came something like this kind of image where the colors stacked and didn't blend perfectly. So my original idea of why I chose red and green was because I wanted to see if the complement would be shown in the after image. That was my personal investigation. I would obviously not give any of my students those kinds of hints or where they could go with things. I would want to see where they would go, and depending on what grade that I would do this with, it may be something we have studied. For example, second grade has done complementary colors. First grade is doing color mixing, so they could have maybe played around with the different lights, stared at the different colors at a certain time to see if they would have mixed, if there was a hue of the color or a tint of the color, or if it shows exactly the same through the flashlight. So there was a lot of questions that they could have asked themselves. Again, moving that inquiry level, instead of just following a set of instructions, they could have kind of thought outside the box a little bit. So it was a success, but I didn't actually have any of the findings that I thought, since I figured that because I was using green and blue, or red and green, that they would have changed the complementary colors. So this was my wrap up. Hope you enjoyed.